So hi there and welcome to Boxing Media Hub. We're proudly in partnership with Falcon Contracting and Jam's Boxing Chat. And you are with us again for the Boxing Media Hub's Boxing Hour, Episode 7, featuring myself, Jam, and my main man from Cincinnati, Ohio, Mr. Serhan. How are you, Serhan?
Great. How about yourself over there across the Atlantic?
Not too bad, matey, thank you. Not too bad. A little bit tired today, but that's only because I got up early to watch the boxing in Australia. But that's what we do when we love the sport. You know what I mean? How's things been for you back in the States? Everything been good?
Oh, everything's great, yes.
Glad to hear it, matey. Glad to hear it. Right then. So what we'll do this week, as usual, we'll start with the fights from last weekend, and then we'll move on to some other topics. Mr. Neutral said, good evening, gents. Good evening to yourself, Mr. Neutral. Thank you for joining, sir. Right, so we'll start with Echo the Engine Esserman. He rolled back the years with a fantastic KO over Owen Cooper. This was a terrific performance. I was so impressed. It was like seeing the old Echo from back in the day. You watched that fight, I'm sure, because you wrote up a paper on it, which was pretty decent. I read that, Sir Ham. Congratulations for that, mate. What was your thoughts on the fight? It was a KO in round 10. What was your thoughts?
I wrote about it on my site called We Like Sports. It was a heck of a fight on that magnificent 7 card. It turned out to be one of the better fights of the night. Probably a fight of the year candidate. Back and forth action. And you said Esselman just turned back the clock and one of the better efforts we've seen in quite a while.
Most definitely, mate. Yeah, I was very, very impressed with Echo. Very, very impressed. Cooper was undefeated as well. He was a tough op himself, so it was a very good win.
Yes.
Definitely, definitely. Well, after that, we had, it might have even been before on the card, but we had Ezra Taylor from Nottingham, who was in a tough fight with Lamella. This was a real tough fight, and people thought Ezra would come in and blow this guy away. It was a very tough night's work, but he got the points decision, and rightly so. It was wide, but it was a tough fight while they were in there. What did you make to Ezra Taylor?
I liked Ezra Taylor going into this fight. I liked him coming out.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I think he could have done a little bit more to get the stoppage, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think he should have been able to turn it up and get him out of there. But still, it's overall great performance.
Definitely, definitely. Mr. Styles 619 joining us all the way from Ontario, Canada. Big up to you, my man. Thank you for coming in. It said, good afternoon, Mr. Neutral, Jams and Serhan. Good afternoon to yourself, Mr. Styles. Right then, so the next fight, this one really disappointed me. Solomon Dakers, whatever you want to call him. Solomon Dakers against Michael Webster. He got the KO in round 7, so you can't really argue, but he was so poor up until that KO. I found him to be very pedestrian, very boring. He did nothing for me. Against anyone at the top table, he gets himself cleaned up.
Yeah.
What was your thoughts on Solomon Dakers?
I feel you on that one. I thought he should have gotten the stoppage win. He got the stoppage win, but he should have done better than this.
Yeah, it should have been a lot earlier. He was so poor. He was getting actually dominated. And this was a rematch as well, wasn't it? But Dakers was very, very boring, mate. I just did not get what his plan was. He just looked fumbly. He looked just out of sorts. I don't know. There was nothing slick about him. There was no real skill, no real good movement. He just got that one punch in the 7th, which cleaned his clock. Other than that, he'd have lost that fight, in my opinion.
Right, I agree.
Not good enough going forward, though, is it? For a man of supposed to be one of Britain's best talents, you know what I mean? I don't see it.
Well, we're going to see when he steps up, because he can't do this again.
Exactly. Mr. Neutral is just saying big up to Mr. Styles. And then we'll move on to the next one. We'll go for Junto Nakatani. Now, we know what happened here. He got the first round body shot KO. Absolutely fantastic. This man is a real one, isn't he? He's a real one. And he beat Astrolabio, which was meant to be a tough opponent for him, but he absolutely destroyed him with one body shot in round 1. What were your thoughts on Junto Nakatani? Pound for pound, top 10 in most people's eyes.
Well, he's up there now. He's on the pound for pound list, just like we saw last month with Bam Rodriguez. We saw now with Junko Nakatani.
Yeah, 100%. Couldn't agree more, mate. Yeah. What do you think about him against Inoue at some point down the line? Imagine that in Japan, 100,000 at the KO Tokyo Dome. Ooh.
Oh, it would sell out Japan in a heartbeat.
It really would. It really would. I would love to see that fight. I would love it. I don't know whether Inoue's got the heart for it at the moment, though, to be honest.
Right now, I think he's got bigger fish to fry. He's got to worry. He's got the
TJ Doheny.
He's coming up, and probably either MJ or Sam Goodman down the line. But that's something probably it's about a year or two away.
Yeah, but his mandatory was MJ Alec Magmadov. Hard name to say. Alec Amilov, whatever his bloody name is. He was supposed to be mandatory, but for some reason Inoue didn't seem to want that smoke. He turned it down, and he's gone for TJ Doheny, which is clearly an easier fight. Is that, do you think, because of Inoue taking that smack off Neri, what put him on his bum? Do you think maybe he's a little bit gun shy at the moment? Or is he just playing his cards right to get the easiest route to where he wants to be?
I think he's playing his cards right now. I think he's this available opponent. He's not just going to sit down. He tried to get Goodman, but Goodman cowered it out. So so this is what we're stuck with for now.
Yeah, definitely. SW Fight Hub, Sam's joined us. Thank you, Sam. Big up, boys, he says. Big up to yourself, Sam. Mr. Styles, Junto Nakatani will be a great addition now that he's signed with Top Rank. Boxing, bright future ahead of him. I completely agree with that, mate. And Sam SW Fight Hub has said, give me Inoue versus Junto down the line. 100%, mate. That's the one we need to see. That's the one we need to see. But he has got to take care of Akhmadaliev first.
I'll tell you what I would like to see for a short term is Junto versus Bam. They're closer to each other than, say, Junto and Inoue. Sorry,
versus who, Serhan? I didn't quite catch you.
Junto versus Bam.
Okay. Oh, Bam, Jesse Rodriguez. Yeah, of course, mate. Yeah. Yes. That'd be a fire fight while it lasts.
Yes.
I would love to see that. So next up then, mate, we'll move on to Chantel Cameron. She was against Elim Makaled. It was a good performance. One card had it a draw, which I don't understand. I genuinely do not understand how they got it a draw. It was a clear Chantel win for me. What were your thoughts on Chantel Cameron's first performance for her new promotional company?
Well, how judge scored a draw is just the same thing we said over and over again. Why do we have this stuff all the time?
Yeah, exactly. It ruins what would have been a good fight, you know. Well, it was a good fight, but it ruins it. It puts a little bit of clout on it, doesn't it? And just makes it, you talk about in the judges again rather than the fight.
Correct. But still, it was a good performance by Cameron. I thought she won that thing going away.
Yeah, 100%, mate. 100%. Where are we? SW Fight Hub has said MJ wanted Saudi, Inoue wanted Japan. I think that was the breakdown in the negotiations for that fight. Yeah, I did hear something about that myself, Sam. Still, though, they should be able to work around it. Two men of that standard in the game. Because I'd have loved to have seen that fight. MJ's a tough SOB, mate. I would have loved to have seen that fight. It kind of just puts a little bit of shade on Inoue's career for me.
A little bit. Well, if the fight eventually happens, what I've heard might happen after TJ Donnie, everything will be just fine. I'm sure a negotiation attack will take place. I'm sure Turkey Alice Sheik, who's been on a roll lately, will find a way to figure this one out.
Yeah, I'm sure he will. Mr. Styles has said, I feel like Inoue has earned the right to pick which opponent he wants to fight given his resume. Yeah, same thing people are saying about Canelo, isn't it? He's earned the right. And then we've got Jab It Boxing. Good afternoon, lads. Good afternoon to yourself, Jabs. Thank you for joining us, brother.
Shout out to Jab.
Yeah, man. Mr. Styles just come back in. It's like the old saying goes, never leave it to the judges because they always screw it up.
Understatement.
That definitely is the understatement of the year, my brother. Håkan Johansson's joined us all the way from Sweden. Big up to yourself, Håkan. Thank you for coming through. He said Jürgen Langos was the scorecard, 95-95. Terrible scorecard, wasn't it? I do not get that one. Right, so we're going to move on to one that broke my heart. Flash Ashley Lane lost his British and Commonwealth bantamweight titles to Andrew Kane. I'm still devastated about this. Ashley deserved better, but what can you do? The guy was just too strong, too big. He just cut him down in his prime, didn't he? I think you've muted yourself, Serhan, mate.
Here we go again.
There you go, you got it. Yeah, can hear you now. Oh, yeah.
Okay, can you hear me better?
Yeah, perfect, mate, sir.
Sorry, I got a new microphone box and it's acting like a little annoying puppy right now, so I'm trying to fix it. But
don't worry about that, mate.
But back to Ashley Lane. Maybe he's nothing to be ashamed of. His biggest victory was overcoming substance abuse and depression. But
exactly.
To meet him, I like him a lot. But I gotta say one thing for you. I never seen you that emotional for a fight ever. All the time I've known you and followed you.
I know, mate. I know. He's a friend of the channel. Ashley Lane's part of BoxingMediaHub,
oh, really?
So he's a friend of the channel. He's such a good man. He deserves so much better.
But yeah,
it devastated me.
I understand it. Yeah, but yeah, his biggest victory was overcoming depression, and he got to tip his hat up to him. It's just the guy was just a better fighter that night.
That's it. Yeah.
It was also a cracking fight too. I'll give it that.
Yeah, Ash brought it to him. Even though he was feeling the power, he still kept going and kept trying. That's what Ash does, mate. He's a warrior in and out the ring. He's a true warrior.
Yes, he is.
He's 33 years old now. Do you think there's going to be many more big chances for Flash Ash Lane, or do you think that's his best chance gone?
He might get another shot or two over there because someone's going to cough up the dough for a name like his on the resume.
Exactly, and he's just beat Jordan Perkis and Chris Bourke before, so he's proven he can mix it at the top table. He definitely deserves another chance.
And Jordan was no pushover, and it was a great win for Lane at that point.
Yeah, he was 6-0-0 at the time, Jordan Perkis, yeah. And then you had, what's his name? Chris Bourke, who was 10-0-1, so another undefeated good fighter. SWS Boxing, young Sammy, thank you for joining, Sam. He said Flash Ass will be back, of course. I hope so, mate.
Shout out to SWS. I followed you on YouTube. You have some good stuff.
Yeah, he does some great stuff, SWS Boxing. Young Sam, he's a great lad. He was at the Ash Lane fight. He was there, supporting Ash. Mr. Styles has said, Ashley Lane will come back bigger and stronger. Keep your head up. Yeah, big up to the champ, mate. We still love you like you've never lost, my brother. That changes nothing for us. Ash Lane is a legend. Proud of Ash. We're shouting for him. I know you was, Sammy. Bless you, mate. Jabbit Boxing. He is still up there. He will get another shot. Kane, wow, he was impressive that night. Off the ropes and his shots on the inside. Yeah, I completely agree with you, Jabs. He was just a bit too much for Ash at that point.
Kane had hell of a pop for that fight. I mean, he had a heck of a punch.
He definitely did, mate. And SWS Boxing has just summed it up perfectly. He's always a winner in our eyes. Damn straight,
yes.
Mate.
Yes.
He'll always be the champ. He will always be the champ no matter what. They can't take that away from him now. He done what no one else could do in Britain. That was to stop Chris Bourke and knock him clean out at York Hall in round 6. So come on, Ash. Always the champ to us, brother. Right, so we move on to the headliner in Birmingham. Brad Pauls versus Nathan Heaney 2. What a fight this was. I thought it would go into the points again, and I was hoping that Brad Pauls wasn't going to get done again like he did last time. But no, he knocked him out. What a fight. What did you make to this one?
What a cracker of a fight. What a performance by Pauls.
It was fantastic.
Yeah, Nathan is no pushover. For him to do that was very impressive. He had him hurt at times throughout the fight, but unlike the first time where he gassed out, this time he got the job done and finished it.
Exactly, mate. Yeah, he 100% got it done. SWS Boxing has said Ash Lane versus Bran Stroud could be a good fight. It would, but would Ash really want to step down for that? Is he English title holder? Brad Stroud. I know he fought not too long back, but you have to let me know about that, Sammy. And SWS Boxing, get in Brad and the new. Yes, mate. And about Brad Pauls, of course. Yeah, so do you think there should be a trilogy match for this one? I know they've had the one draw and now the Pauls KO. Do you think there should be a third one, or do you think it's dealt with now? It's been done.
I'd like to see a third one, but I would understand why Pauls would want to move on, because he the first fight was a draw. I think he felt he let that one off the hook, but I think the second one, for his sake, I think he basically just put the thing to bed and put it to rest. I wouldn't mind a third fight, but I doubt it happens.
Yeah, I'm with you, mate. I'd like to see it just because it's so exciting, but I very much doubt it will happen.
Yeah, I agree.
Right, so the next fight, this was the biggest shock of the night for me. Ashton Silve got knocked out in round 1 by Lucas Bardi. Sorry, not in round 1, with one punch by Lucas Bardi. He was dominating the entire fight. I think it was the 7th round, was it? And he was absolutely flawless. Punch-perfect performance from Ashton Silve, the 20-year-old. He was dominating Lucas Bardi, but then Leveler just came out of nowhere and cleaned him up. What's your thoughts? And can he recover from this, or is that the end of Ashton Silve?
I don't know if it's the end of Ashton Silve, but when you get knocked out like that, it's tough to recover from. We've seen it time and time again. Is probably another example of this.
It takes a lot out of you, doesn't it? Especially at such a young age, 20, because he was a fearless lad, but he got absolutely smoked.
Yeah, and he's still seeing stars from that punch. But to tell you, you can't get careless in the sport, because one shot, one on the chin, you're on the canvas, and it's over.
Yeah, that's it, mate. That's it. SWS Boxing said, I knew Brad would win. I did as well, mate. Brad Strand doesn't have a belt. He got beat by McCann last time. That's right. That's where I remember, against Dennis McCann, of course. Jabbit Boxing has said, nah, Brad Pauls didn't beat a Heaney at 100%. Heaney losing the Tash cost him 30% power because he lost his porn star Tash. And SWS Boxing has said, great KO in that. He's on about the Ashton Silve, I'm assuming. And DJ Pat's joined us all the way from Sweden. Big up to yourself, DJ Pat. He said that is a contender for KO of the year. Clinic on chin.
Yes.
100%. And Jabbit Boxing has said, savage KO that. Hope he recovers well. Yeah, I'm with you there, Jabs.
We hope so too.
That can take a lot out of a youngster. He's only 20 years old. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you just said what I was about to say. Hoping he does, but when you get knocked out like that, sometimes it messes you up, not just physically, but also psychologically.
Yeah. We'll tell you what we'll do. SWS Boxing's just said thoughts on the Hooney fight, lads. So we'll talk about that one next. I was going to get to that one anyway at the end. So we'll talk about that now. What did you make to Big Justice Hooney dismantling Troy Pilchard in round number 2? Did you watch it, and what did you think to it this morning? It was a fantastic knockout.
That's how you open eyes across the world with that kind of a knockout.
Definitely, mate, definitely. And who would you like to see him in with next, Justice Hooney? Like, I was thinking maybe a Dillian White or that type over here would be a good test for him.
Makes
or
a lot
even
of
Tony Yoka, the Frenchman. Tony Yoka, maybe.
I like to see the Yoka, the freshman first before a White. Even though White's a bit on his downturn, I still think he's a little too much right now.
Yeah, might be a bit too much early on because he's only had 10 fights, hasn't he? So
yeah, Dillian White, my experience will find a way through it.
yeah, definitely, matey, definitely. SWS Boxing. Oh, there you go. I was just about to ask him who he'd like to see Hooney in with, and he's already answered. Otto Wallin. That's a good call, mate.
Not a bad option either.
That's a very good option. He's been in with the likes of AJ. You know, he's a tough Swede. Is Otto Wallin.
I think he's been in the ring with Fury too, if I'm correct. I think that's a fight with Fury where they got the headbutt cut, and Fury just turned it up and just basically just beat him down around in the ring the rest of the way when he came to the States. But yeah, Wallen's a credible guy.
He really is, mate. Yeah, we've got a couple of Swedes in the chat, DJ Pat and Hawkan. So what do you guys think to Otto Wallin against Justice Hooney? Is that a fight you'd like to see? Let us know to the young Swedes that are here. Thank you very much.
I think so. I think so too. I think at this point probably be the good idea. I think White's, if we're to get a guy like White, I think Wallen would be the answer for now.
Yeah, I think Otto's a good call. Definitely a good call, mate. It's a good call. It's like Sam read my mind. I was literally just about to ask him that exact question, and he put it in there already. Right then, so we'll move on. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Did you watch this one?
I don't know what he's trying to do. If he's trying to be relevant, just because he has a famous name of his father, he thinks he's relevant. His father basically told him to to shut up at some point. So I don't take this guy seriously anymore.
I don't at all. Not at all. I think it's a joke, to be honest. It's all about him fighting some bloody wrestler now or something, or some MMA fighter or something next again.
He was gift wrapped a championship because the politics wrongfully stripped Sergio Martinez a long time ago. And when he had a chance against Martinez in a rematch, and he had him basically a one-legged Martinez, he couldn't get the job done.
That's it. That says it all. Mr. Styles has said, not surprised by that KO by Justice Hooney. He earned that win. How about Justice Hooney versus Fraser Clark or Fabio Wardler? I think, yeah, because he's number 5 with some of the sanctioning bodies. So it definitely could be. And SWS Boxing has said Pilcher could turn into a decent gatekeeper. Yeah, he's a tough man. The first round, he had a right good go at Hooney. A bit too much hugging for me.
Yeah, Pilcher's actually really good. He's just Hooney just blasted him out of there when he had the chance to do it.
That's it. Jabbit Boxing said Chavez Jr. lost to Anderson Silva and the WBA on about making Jake Paul. That was it, Jake Paul Chavez. That's what I heard. That's the one I heard, mate. I couldn't wrap my brain around it. For a title. What a joke if the WBA actually makes the title fight between Jake Paul and UJ Cesar Jr. official. Completely agree with you, lads. Honestly, it'd be an absolute joke.
Gilberto Mendoza, who's the president of the organization, is a blatant coward for doing this.
Yep. Well, on that note, let's move on to the man of the moment, Jake Paul. He fought Platinum Mike Perry. He knocked him out in 6. I think he was very disappointing. What was your thoughts? I expected Jake Paul to come and blow him out in a minute and a half because he's a super middleweight, to be honest. And he's fighting at someone who's training for heavyweight against Mike Tyson. He was like a giant compared to him. The fact he couldn't get him out of there shows Platinum Mike Perry's toughness, but it also shows how floppy Jake's boxing is.
What is that phrase we use these days? Weight bully? That's what it is. For a weight bully, the guy wasn't anything but a bully. He's just lucky Perry just got tired in the end.
That's it, mate, yeah. Gabby Boxing said Serhan's face when we mentioned Jake Paul. Love it.
I'm tired of talking about this guy. I'm tired of talking about this guy until he does something of significance. And we're not going to see anything of significance for a while because they're talking about him, of course, a 57-year-old Mike Tyson. They talk about Alex Pereira, whatever frick his name is. Yeah, I'm not talking about this guy until I see something of significance.
Yeah, 100% agree, mate. The Alex Pereira thing, I will just say on this, he did call Jake Paul up straight after the fight. You know, when Jake called him out at the end of the fight, Alex Pereira got straight on the blow-up and called Jake Paul FaceTime and said, let's get it on, let's do this. And Jake Paul just kept saying, oh, as if your manager, as if Dana White's going to let you out of the contract and all this. He didn't want to know it. Pereira put it on him and he shit himself. Jake Paul shot himself. He just kept saying, Dana won't let us, Dana won't let us, Dana won't let us. Didn't want to notify.
Sounds like a duck.
Exactly, mate. If it quacks like a duck, waddles like a duck, it's usually a duck. And if there's a duck about, there's a Jake Paul about.
It is.
SWS Boxing said Jake Paul with an emoji. I can't actually see what it is because my eyes are a bit
Nah,
blurred.
yeah, it's a yawn emoji. That's how I felt.
Oh, see, I get you. SWS Boxing, Pereira beats him easy. Yeah, couldn't agree more, mate. And he's also put quack.
Quack, quack.
Oh, Donald Duck. He actually wants to fight Alex Puatan. Pereira is the guy out of his mind.
Yeah, I think that's his nickname or something like that. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, so next up, we had Zach Parker. This is a talent from across these shores. And he beat Jack Armfield, who's another decent level operator. This was by TKO in round 4. Did you catch this one, and what did you think?
I saw the highlights. Parker is very impressive. I saw him. I was talking to Sam of SW Fight Hub about this, and we were both impressed. I saw he posted the highlights, and I seen it. I liked it. What a way to end it.
Yeah, beautiful KO, beautiful KO. Jabbit Boxing just said, speaking of Duck, what about Eubank Jr. fumbling the bag against Canelo?
He's still trying to find that pen to sign that contract to fight Triple G. If you remember that excuse from way back today.
Yeah. But Eubank Jr. always priced himself out, doesn't he? He always priced himself out of fights.
I wanted to see this fight so bad because I wanted Canelo to put this guy out for good. Because I know a lot of people on your side of the pond are just tired of him just as much as they're tired of Conor Benn.
100%, mate. SWS Boxing has said Parker was at light heavy. Yeah, he done well, though. Javits put, yes, Serhan. And then Javits put some smiling things. I don't know what's happening here, but it keeps going on the wrong message. I'm pressing on one and it's going on the other. There we go.
He's probably laughing at what
There
he
we
said.
got it. Must be my fat thumbs, mate. And then SWS Boxing, Parker looked strong at light heavy. Yeah, he certainly
He really
did.
did. Yeah, he really did. The way he ended it was strong stuff.
SWS Boxing's also said, I think he should stay there. Yeah, I agree, mate. I think it
Same.
suited him down to the ground. 100%. Well, so after that, we had Miss Amanda Serrano. This was against Stevie Morgan, who she beat in TKO round 2. I was very impressed with Serrano, but at the same time, the Stevie Morgan was not there to fight. She got absolutely whitewashed, and the referee stopped it very early for me. What was your thoughts on Serrano against Morgan?
She probably is headed for a stoppage win anyways. I agree about Morgan, but you got to give Serrano her due. She didn't want to be there. Serrano gave her a reason to get out.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But she was an undefeated fighter. Should have maybe give her a little bit longer to try and get a rhythm going, but the ref weren't having none of it. Yeah, sorry, mate. Mr. Styles 619 just said, I'm more of a fan of Conor Benn than Chris Eubank. To be honest, mate, I hate them both. They both live off the dad's name. They're both a pile of crap in my eyes.
And Conor Benn's a drug sheet on top of it. I don't know why the hell is he taking pregnancy pills to try and get prepared for a fight?
Exactly. And he's also said Stevie Morgan got a payday. Yeah, she did, and she got a bit of a beating.
That's what all she was there for.
Yeah. Yeah, because it was just a warm-up for the Katie Taylor fight, wasn't it, in truth? Which is happening later in this year. SWS Boxing, fair play to Serrano. And he said he's a fan of Eubank. I'm not, mate. He priced himself out of every fight. He's arrogant. He's lost every major fight he's ever had, other than the Leon Beefy Smith rematch. Every other big time he stepped up to a title or to a summit decent, he's lost.
And he tried to sign it. Remember, he had a mutual agreement to fight Triple G, but used an excuse of trying to find a pen and how to sign it.
Oh, my God, yeah. He just comes out with some shockers, doesn't he? He really does.
I
So
know
what's your thoughts on... Sorry, sir. Carry on, mate. Sorry.
Well, I see before you interrupt. I know his dad was theatrics too, but his dad was never like this. His dad at least stepped up and fought.
100%, mate. 100%. Mr. Styles said Katie Taylor smoked Serrano in the rematch. That's what I was just about to ask you in a second, mate. And SW5 said the Nuki Bomb, what a fighter. Took what's his on Saturday. Yeah, couldn't agree more, Sam, mate. Thank you for your comments. Of course, the Nuki Bomb was amazing. Definitely deserved to get that win. I think he won the first one by a couple of rounds. Some people disagree, but I think he did. But getting back to Amanda Serrano, she's fighting Katie Taylor later this year. Who wins that for you, mate, the rematch?
Give me Katie Taylor.
Yeah, Katie Taylor. Serrano's going to age at some point, isn't she?
Yes, and this time I think Katie Taylor's going to put an exclamation point to everything.
Yeah, she needs to, mate. She needs to after that Chantel Cameron lost, didn't she? I know she got the rematch win, but SWS Boxing has said Taylor defo wins the rematch. I hope you're right, my brother. And SW Fight Hub agrees with him too, so they're all agreeing with you, Serhan, that Katie Taylor has got this in the bag. So next up, we had Shady Green. She beat Natasha Spence of Canada. I'm sure Mr. Styles is a bit heartbroken about this one. It was on points over 8. It was her first fight since losing to Franchon Cruz Dizerne. What did you make to Shady Green? Were you impressed with her coming back with a win?
Yes.
Was a good performance, weren't it?
Yeah, solid win for Shady.
Yeah, definitely, mate, definitely. She's another one who could be something good in the game at some point.
She's getting there bit by bit.
Definitely, mate, definitely. Mr. Styles said, do you both think Chantel Cameron gets the winner of Taylor Serrano?
Possible. Not saying it will, but it's possible.
I'm just not sure Taylor wants to fight Cameron again, to be honest. I think she knows, like, she got a little bit of a lucky one in that second fight, in my opinion.
I agree.
I don't think she's going to want that smoke.
It's possible, but, who knows?
SW said, I agree with Sam. Strength of schedule justifies GWOAT status, talking about KT. In my opinion, KT is the GWOAT, says SWS Boxing. Mr. Styles is broken-hearted for his Canadian, Miss Spence. And watching you guys whilst playing Fortnite, says Sammy at SWS Boxing. Respect to Green, good win for her, says Mr. Styles. Thank you very much, mate. Yeah, it was a good win. Good solid after her defeat, her first taste of defeat. She done well to come back and put on a clinic.
Yes.
Definitely. So that's the end of the fights from last weekend. We've got the upcoming fights. We'll do them towards the end of the show. Sam's asking who's next for Green. I'm not sure, mate, to be honest. I don't know where she goes. Maybe a rematch with Franchon Cruz.
That makes all the sense in the world. That's probably it right now for her.
Yeah, the HH Diva comes to fight, mate. So that'd be a good one. Serhan loving the new setup. Says SW Fight Up.
Yeah, I finally got this thing going.
Next up, before we get to our special topic of the day, which is going to be fights that should have happened that never did, we'll talk about Benavidez not hitting that mandatory button against Canelo. What's your thoughts on this one, Serhan? I know it's been talked to death, but I have to ask you.
I made my official debut last night on my show, Serhan on X, and I elaborated in detail. I'm going to elaborate again for all the morons out here. The 10 David Benavidez fans who have 5,000 burner accounts apiece, because David Benavidez has no real fans. Here we go again. At the end of the day, I thought he was thinking that they were going to strip Canelo and give Benavidez the belt the same way they did to Boots Ennis not too long ago. I'm thinking maybe that's what they were doing. They strung this out as much as possible, thinking they were going to, that the governing body was going to strip Canelo. But the problem was, he asked for extension for 2 weeks. Then he asked extension for another week. On top of that, he was mandatory for the Better Be of winner taking place in October. So he basically stubbed his own toes right there. That's the problem. You can't justify to me that this guy was really worthy of anything, because the last fight before, as we talked about ad nauseum, he fought the corpse of Alexander Gvozdyk and carried him the distance. The same Alexander Gvozdyk who was 5 years past his expiration date as a fighter.
Yeah, 100%, mate. Couldn't agree more with that statement, mate, to be honest with you. SWS Boxing said Canelo Vibalanga has been made, though. Thoughts on that? We'll get to that in a second, mate. Is Savannah Marshall stripped of her titles because of the HH Diva has a super middleweight? I don't think so, to be honest. I think she's still got the title, believe it or not.
Yeah, I believe so, yes.
And then SW Fight Hub Sam said, David Benavidez. I completely agree, mate. Biggest
yes.
ever been.
Yeah, I'm going to get to that at the end of the show, because I have a lot to say about that.
Yeah, definitely. Benavidez is going to get smoked against either Beterbiev or Bivol. Let's be real, anyone at light heavyweight in the men's division smokes him. Yeah, to be honest. Canelo smokes David, says SWS. I completely agree with you, mate, sir.
Yeah, I'll get to all that at the end of the show. I have a lot to say.
Yeah, no worries, mate. What are you thinking about this? Golden Boy Promotions has joined Turkey Al Sheikh and the Riyadh season. So now you've got Matchroom, you've got Queensborough, you've got Golden Boy and Top Rank. What's your thoughts on that? This could be big for boxing.
Something we've needed for a long time, and I'm telling you, this Turkey Al Sheikh is serious business.
It really is. It really is. SWS Boxing just said Beterbiev beats David, round 7. Bivol schools him. Completely agree, mate. Completely agree. The Ecuadorian monster ain't all he's cracked up to be, in my opinion. He really isn't.
No, he isn't.
Yeah. You heard about Caleb Plant's fight's been called off against Trevor McCumbee. McCumbie's got a serious cut on his eye. Yeah, someone posted it was real gash, like right here between his eyebrow and some of his eyelids, real deep. It was nasty. It was.
Yeah, I like me some Caleb Plant, but time to get to it a little bit.
Yeah, definitely, matey. Yeah, especially with all that shit going around with Ryan Garcia abusing his wife and all that. Surprised he's not smacked him up in the street yet.
Yeah, he should. He should be doing it.
Hopefully, he will one day. SWS Boxing said, "I would like to see a 5v5 Queensbury versus Golden Boy." Yeah, me too, mate.
I like that idea.
Definitely. And Mr. Style 619, not surprised they are jumping on the bandwagon. They needed some good publicity since the Garcia turmoil. Well, that's true as well, mate.
Funny thing was, Oscar had a video said he wasn't going to do it. Well, he bent the knee.
Yeah, money talks, brother. Money talks. Money talks. Right then, so we've butchered that. What we'll do is we'll do the fights that are coming up at the weekend. We'll do them at the end of the show. So now we're going to move on to some fights that we believe should have happened that never did. It could be anything you want from any era. Obviously, I'm more towards my era again. You'll probably have some real big uns out there from back in the day. So if you want to start with your number 10, Serhan, or we don't have to be in any order, really. Just whatever you want, which fight you want to talk about.
Okay, let me pull up my list here. Actually, one that came up in my mind here because I was reading this because you introduced me to a fighter from your side of the pond. I'm gonna go like a 3-fight package. It involves these 3 fighters. This fight comes from the 70s. The great light heavyweight Bob Foster. Another one from Argentina named Victor Galindez, and from the guy you introduced me to, John Conte.
Oh, okay, John Conte,
Okay.
fantastic fight on.
The synopsis: Bob Foster was a 2-belt light heavyweight champion. Back then, it was only 2 belts. Galindez was the mandatory for one. Conte was mandatory for the other. Basically, the politics just screwed Foster up because he had to pick one or the other. Because if he fights one, the other's going to be stripped. If he fights the other's going to be stripped.
Yeah.
He wound up vacating both titles, and Conte and Galindez went up winning theirs. Foster went to retiring. You could argue that maybe Galindez and Conte should have had a unification fight in the light heavyweight division at that time because they were the two kingpins of the light heavyweights in the 70s.
Yeah, 100% agree. Jabit Boxing just said Kawasaki Froch. Believe me, that's on my list, mate. That is on my list.
Believe it or not, that's on mine. That's on mine too.
Yeah, it has to be, doesn't it? One that's not on my list, but I just wanted to mention. You'll know a lot more about this than me, but I had to mention it. Sugar Ray Leonard never got to fight Aaron Pryor, and Aaron Pryor also never got to fight Duran or Hearns. Were you surprised at that?
Well, I can tell you this: for the Leonard Pryor fight, there were 2 offers made. Pryor turned them down because he felt like they were low ball offers. But I think the problem was they were low ball offers. But the problem was Aaron Pryor didn't necessarily become a household name at that point, so that's how he pursued the fight with Alexis Arguello. And also, another time was when Sugar Ray Leonard had his detached retina after his first fight with Thomas Hearns. So there are a lot of reasons why that didn't happen.
Yeah. That would have been a cracking fight. Any one of them 3 would have been cracking fights, wouldn't they, to be honest?
Yes.
Definitely. SW Fight would say, hey, against Fury, when it was scheduled, would have been amazing. Yeah, I think Fury would have schooled him, to be honest, but I like David Hay.
I like David Hay, but when he became a heavyweight, he became all about theatrics, especially when you consider that photocrop photo he had disgustingly of him beheading Vitaly Klitschko. That was just that was just a no-no.
Yeah, definitely.
I loved him as a cruiserweight. The guy was a sensation because we had him here in the States nationwide when he knocked out Enzo Macronelli. But as a heavyweight, he became about theatrics, especially after he beat Valuev.
Yeah, like with the busted toe and all that against Klitschko. It was just a joke,
Yes.
wasn't it? SWS Boxing has said Povetkin versus Wilder was scheduled, would have been good. Hay Prime was defo cruiserweight. Yeah, definitely. So I'll start with my number 10. Where are we? Mike Tyson against George Foreman.
Now, they had a doubleheader in 1990 on HBO. There was two intro that way. Problem was Mike Tyson had lost to Buster Douglas, and George Foreman's goals changed. Even though he wanted the fight, it was offered. Tyson eventually was scheduled to fight Evander Holyfield in 91, but he had the bogus rib injury, which later wound him up in prison for rape.
Oh, of course, yeah, of course.
Yeah, because they were supposed
I was wondering why that never happened.
It was talked about. It was close, but Mike Tyson balked. But that's because after the loss of Douglas, he was basically all in it for money and nothing else.
Yeah, well, that's not surprising. Mr. Styles has said a fight that should have happened was Wilder versus Joshua for the Undisputed Crown. Yeah, that's one that could have happened.
Piggyback off of that, that's my number 9.
Oh, okay. There you go then. So what's your thoughts on this one then? Number 9.
I'm gonna point this out to the American public out here for the last time because a lot of these guys don't get it. DAZN offered Wilder a lucrative deal because he was Anthony Joshua was a part of this the dozen deal, if I believe, at the time. Wilder turned it down and signed on with PBC, and the rest is history.
Yeah. So he wasted his biggest opportunity. He would have got like $10 million for that as well, more than he's ever earned before at that time.
I heard some of the estimates would be closer to 20, maybe even 30, because they were going to break the bank for this, because that's a fight everyone wanted at the time.
Yeah, with the pay-per-view and that, it probably would have been 50 million. Yeah, 100%. SWS Boxing, yeah, sad really. Wanted to really see that one. Prime Wilder would have beat Prime AJ, says SWS. I'm not sure about that, mate. And then AJ turned it down too. I think that was afterwards, though, when Wilder lost his WBC belt.
Yeah,
that's why AJ turned it down.
There's a mutual agreement, as you said, because after Wilder lost to Fury, it was basically it. Because then Wilder started to get a little desperate. Because then they had to go to a court for a third Fury fight. It made no sense because Fury beat him to a pulp the first two fights. The third fight basically was just a workout for Fury.
Exactly, yeah, he smashed right through him. SWS Box said Wilder was underrated. Wilder was fantastic until he got found out. As soon as he got found out, his confidence went, he was gone. Look at him since.
I agree.
Losing to the people that he would have
I agree with you.
100%. Right, so my number 8. Oh, no, sorry. Get your number 8 done first, Serhan.
No, I think, okay, my number 8. We had a great featherweight era, but one fight we never saw was Manuel Marquez versus Eric Morales.
That's my number 8. That's my number 8.
Here's the thing.
Against Eric Morales.
They fought the same weight classes, same promotion, paths never intertwined. At one point, Marquez was a mandatory for Morales. That's when Morales tried to get the rematch with Barrera after Barrera beat Nassim Hamed, and it backfired on him.
Yeah, whose problem do you think it was? Who caused the problems in that fight? Why? Because that fight should have happened. That's guaranteed.
Manuel Marquez was avoided by a lot of fighters for a long time. That includes your countryman, Prince Nassim Hamed, who dropped the belt when Marquez was his mandatory. Morales did the same thing.
So he literally ducked in. That's a proper quacking job.
And are you ready for this? 20 years later, Morales is on a podcast still trying to trash Marquez. Basically, Marquez ascended to a level that Morales could never get to when he beat Yoel Casamayor, Juan Diaz twice, had the trilogy with Pacquiao with the fourth fight. He put him on his face. So he basically ascended to a level that Marquez couldn't get to.
Yeah,
Morales could get to, my bad.
Champion Boxing said, great minds think alike. He's talking about me and you both having the same number 8. That should have happened 100%. Completely agree, Jab, bruv. 100% for. Yeah, definitely, mate. Definitely. Right, so what's your number 7, Serhan?
This would have been an all-out slugfest. George Foreman versus Ernie Shavers.
Oh, yeah.
The first career Foreman. You remember the historical fight with George Foreman and Ron Lyle?
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it before my time. I've seen it.
Shavers, you thought Foreman was a bad, brutal puncher? There's a reason why some consider Ernie Shavers the hardest puncher in boxing history. That would have been a fight where basically both guys would have punched through walls. It would have been probably the hardest punching contest ever. They fought within the same time, but remember, after Foreman lost Rumble in the Jungle to Ali, psychologically he wasn't the same.
Yeah.
And of course, in 77, he lost to Jimmy Young and retired for 10 years, and we know what the rest was. But yeah, that's a fight that should have happened. Shavers, one of the hardest punchers. YouTube his fights with Ali and Larry Holmes. You'll see how hard he hit. Even Larry Holmes, to this day, calls him the hardest puncher he's ever faced.
See that on my wall? I've got the Ali Shavers fight poster just there.
Oh, nice. That's sweet. That is sweet. Yeah, even Ali said nobody hit him as hard as Shavers. Shavers had that kind of a punch that could put a hole through a brick wall.
Definitely. SWS Boxing said Manny versus Floyd should have been made earlier. Yeah, definitely, mate. It was 8 years too late. A bit like the Usyk Tank fight that's supposed to be happening, but now's not. That should have been made 6 years ago.
Later show, we're going to talk about fights that happened too late.
Yeah, we'll do that in the next show.
Yeah.
If we ain't got time today. A fight that would have also been good to see was both Klitschko brothers against each other for the Undisputed. Yeah, but they always said they'd never fight. That's the only problem with that, Mr. Styles. But I get that.
I don't blame them. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that for any money or whatever to fight my own brother like that. No way.
No, same here, mate. I wouldn't either. Same as the Cray twins. Remember the old gangsters from East End of London? They always promised they'd never box each other.
Yes.
And the one time they did, it got out of hand and they got in a big bit of trouble. They had to be separated by police.
Oh, yes.
They were some dangerous geezers. Right, so we're on my number 7 now, aren't we? Shane Mosley, Felix Trinidad. What do you think of that one?
It was talked about at one point, I believe. After the Mosley beat De La Hoya was discussed, but the problem was Trinidad went up to junior middleweight to fight David Reed. Because remember, there were rumors that he couldn't make 147 for the De La Hoya fight. So
Yeah.
that's where that stood.
Yeah, because that was back, I think 2001 was it, something like that, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, 2001.
Yeah, so that would have been a cracking fight. Who would you have picked in that? Obviously, I'd go Felix Trinidad, to be honest.
Same.
Yeah, because he was an absolute brawler, mate. Absolute brawler. SWS Boxing has said Jake Paul versus Logan Paul is a must. As long as they hurt each other in the ring, I'm down for it.
I'll give Logan Paul one thing. He doesn't make himself to be something more than what he is. I like Jake Paul, who makes himself, he thinks he's bigger than what he is, and he comes across as a phony. I'll give Logan Paul that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Håkan Johansson, thank you for joining us, big brother. He said Klitschko's mother stopped them fighting each other. Same as the Grey. It was Grey's mother who done the same.
Yeah, really, I don't blame her.
Yeah, that's it. Mr. Styles is saying to SWS Boxing, so young Sammy, if Jake Paul and Logan Paul wants to happen, then move it to the WWE and leave boxing alone. That would make a lot more sense.
Yes.
Definitely do it in the wrestling ring.
Okay.
Oh, speaking about wrestling, Mr. Styles, did you catch Joel's interview on Boxing Media Hub with Thomas Tribe yesterday?
I saw, yes, it was real nice. I love Thomas Tribe was a heck of a ring announcer in his day. I liked him.
He was a wrestler as well. I never knew he was actual wrestler.
Yeah, I didn't
himself.
know either. Back in 93, he said.
Yeah, 93. He went in against one of the great Ultimate Warrior.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And Stone Cold Steve Austin when he was blonde hair. He had a bit of blonde hair.
Right. I remember that.
WCW, whatever it was called. WCW.
World Championship Wrestling, yes. Yeah.
That's the one. That's the one. Mr. Styles has said yes. Good man. He was great, mate. He was great. Right, so we're looking for your number 6, Serhan, brother.
Adonis Stevenson versus Sergey Kovalev.
Hold on. I've got Adonis in here somewhere. Bear with me. Yeah, that's the one I've got. I've got that as well, mate. Number 6.
They were both on the HBO network for the longest time. They both, all the times as Kovalev used to call him Adonis Chickenson. Adonis, and then he goes on to Showtime to fight with a BBC brand, which at the time was a political divide. Then out of nowhere, Kovalev calls Stevenson out to a fight on HBO. I guess Stevenson was at ringside. He again calls him Chickenson. Adonis Stevenson jumps into the ring and starts to charge Kovalev, almost knocked out Max Kellerman in the process. But the fight never materialized because Stevenson was all bark and no bite. And I think Kovalev would have steamrolled him because he was rolling at the time.
Yeah, I tell you what though, Superman did look good at one point. I remember when he beat Jean Pascal and that in Canada, because he fought out of Canada, didn't he? He was an amazing fighter. And then he just seemed to disappear. He just seemed to disappear, and it all just went to Ruish. You know what I mean? He just went.
Well, he had an injury after the loss of Alexander Gavosik when he got knocked out.
Yeah,
basically ended his career. No, he actually had a real life injury. He had to have his brain looked at after the fight.
Hell, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I thought it was just confidence.
No,
Styles. Sorry, carry on, sir. I'm sorry, mate.
No, it was revealed after the fight because the next week, Alexander Gavosik sent prayers to Stevenson and his family.
Oh, that's nice of him. Mr. Styles has said, I love the Ultimate Warrior and Stone Cold. Yeah, man, who didn't back in the wrestling days. Great minds think alike, says SWS Boxing. So true. Adonis Stevenson, one of the best fighters, says Mr. Styles. I used to love him as well, matey, to be honest. I thought he was a fantastic fighter. What a shout. Adonis versus Kovalev would have been fire. Kova by brutal stoppage is SW Fight Hubs. Stenson KO over Bad Chad Dawson was incredible.
Well, Stevenson. Yeah, it was a one-punch knockout. Dawson was out. That basically put Stevenson on the map.
Bad Chad Dawson was a danger man back in the day as well. A fight that should have happened was a trilogy between Miguel Cotto and Antonio Margarito.
Antonio Margarito basically did it to himself when he got caught with plaster of Paris.
Exactly, mate. And what he done to that man, it was horrible. You know what I mean? Brutal, that was.
And ever since he was caught, he didn't win a single fight. He had one win against a fighter that was nondescript. His 3 big fights against the Dakota rematch, Pacquiao and Mosley, he got wiped out. He was done. Yeah.
So what's your number 5, Serhan?
Floyd Mayweather versus Paul Williams.
I've got that as well. I've actually got 2 Mayweathers. I've got 2 Mayweather fights. I've got Mayweather against Paul Williams. I've also got Mayweather against Costas Jew.
Here's the thing with this one. Paul Williams was a mandatory. He was a tall, lanky southpaw with a high punch volume. It was the kind of style that gives a guy like Floyd problems. he basically called him out numerous times. Floyd basically never even answered. Paul Williams had the greatest catchphrase of all time because as a response to Floyd Mayweather's domestic abuse charges he had back then, he basically said, Floyd Mayweather would never fight me because I'm not a vagina.
I love that.
Yeah, he summed it up because remember, Floyd had 2 domestic abuse charges here in the States in his home state of Michigan. But one he signed up on a plea agreement to serve probation, and when that fight come out, that's when Paul Williams made that quote.
Yeah, I actually remember that. I do remember that. And what about Floyd against Costa Zoo? What's your thoughts on that one? Do you think that should have happened?
Floyd wanted it. Because remember, Costa Zoo held a win over his uncle, the late Roger Mayweather. He wanted to do it for the family revenge. Don't know why that never materialized.
Yeah, I'm surprised because they were both superstars of the game. That would have made sense, and they're both decent boxers too. So it would have made a real good fight, a good bit of money.
Actually, when you mentioned Costa Zoo, that's my number 4, him versus Oscar De La Hoya. It was discussed. Yeah. They had a double pay-per-view doubleheader in '97. Problem was, there was a mutual agreement, but Costa Zoo was upset by Vince Phillips, so that went down the tubes.
Oh, that's a shame. That's a shame. SW Fight Hub has said Maravilla Martinez versus Triple G would have been fire too.
Triple G was.
Triple G, yeah.
Yeah, Triple G was.
I've got Sergio Martinez. Sergio Martinez against Triple G. I've got that as my number 4.
That fight, Triple G was Martinez's mandatory. That's what people forget.
Big up, Ra. Big up, Ra. Who do you think would have won out of Sergio Martinez and Triple G? Gennady Golovkin in his prime back then. I think Golovkin probably would have smashed him to bits.
I think so too. Martinez was starting to break down physically.
Definitely. Mr. Styles is saying big up to Ra. So everyone give Ra a big up in the chat.
Shut up, Ra.
SW Fighter, Great Minds Jams. You know it, brother. You know it. So that was my number 4 then. So what's your number 4, Serhan?
I mentioned it was De La Hoya Zoo.
Oh, of course, yeah. Sorry, mate. Yeah, so we're down to number 3 then. So
we talked about
Lennox Lewis against Riddick Bowe.
That's by the FYI. That's my number 1. My number 3 is Tyson Foreman. For the reasons we said.
Tyson Foreman, yeah.
Yeah, that fight should have happened. They had every chance to make it happen. It didn't for the reasons I said.
Yeah. Bruce Gas, Boxing, Jazz and more. Salute, guys. Salute to yourself, sir. Thank you so much for joining us. So what other fights are you thinking? We've done Tyson Foreman. We've done Sugar Ray Leonard, Aaron Pryor. What about Oscar De La Hoya against Winky Wright?
That's my number 2. They had a chance to go for the undisputed middleweight championship. Winky Wright called him out relentlessly, and Oscar just avoided it.
Number 2 for me as well, bro.
That's for my people.
4 we've got the same.
That's for my people. Winky Wright was a fighter no one wanted to mess with because he had the style that gave everyone fits. He basically schooled Shane Mosley and Felix Trinidad, basically dusted him off like it was nothing. He called Oscar De La Hoya out to his face countless times, and De La Hoya avoided it.
Definitely. Ra Hokum said, personally, I'd like Tyson against Riddick Bowe. That was my one from earlier, mate.
Okay.
My one from earlier.
Let me clean that one up.
Yeah, sorry, sir. Bruce Gas, Boxing, Jazz and more said Lewis Riddick Bowe. That's another good one. Johnson versus Dempsey, sir.
Oh, yeah, Johnson and Dempsey. Yeah, that's way back. Check out Johnson and Jack Dempsey. But I want to piggyback off his comment about Tyson Bowe. It was we talked about last week. We talked about the whole Bo Colada fiasco. There was a rumored agreement verbally that they were going to have an all New York fight at some point in '96. The Bo Colada thing just trashed it, and Mike Tyson wound up fighting Evander Holyfield, and the rest was history.
That's when he bit his ear off.
Yes.
Yeah. Mr. Styles has said Riddick Bowe versus James Toney would have been nice to see.
Bo would have been way too big for him. Tony was a good small heavyweight, but Bo was 6'5", 240, was very, very mobile.
Yeah, SWS Boxing has said Riddick Bowe versus Lennox Lewis.
That's my number 1.
Yeah, that was I gave that one earlier as well. That was my number 6, I think it was.
Yeah, that's my number 1 for the simple reason that was the premier heavyweight fight at a time when the heavyweight division got hot in the 90s. We know the story there. Lewis beat Ruddock. Bo beat Holyfield. Bo goes to taunt Lewis after the fight. Basically says he would taunt him after the fight. Basically said, call him all names. Lennox Lewis casually said, "I will knock you out." And Bo ran ever since. And of course, you guys saw it in Britain at the time before we did in the States. Bo threw in the built in the garbage can.
Yeah. Oh, I remember that. Yeah, definitely. Ra Hokum said Roy Jones Jr. against McClellan.
McClellan would have been the one with a snowball chance to beat him at the time. But we know what happened with, the sad story against Nigel Benn.
Yeah, terrible story that is. I hate that. It's heartbreaking. How about Canelo Benavidez? Will it ever happen?
It'll be on that list. At this rate, it'll be on the list eventually. But the reason why it won't be because who you think it will be.
That's it. Mr. Styles said James Toney, Lennox Lewis, SWS Boxing. Why did he throw the belt in the bin? Because he was disrespecting him. So he threw the belt in the bin to be disrespectful, to say it's not worth anything.
Not only that, remember, Lewis wasn't mandatory. He had an obligation to fulfill it. And there was also rumors going around the time where Bo's bad habits started to take over, and even his trainer, Eddie Futz, wanted to go a different direction. They took Lennox Lewis to fight a 38-year-old Michael Dokes, who was on the way wrong side of his career, 3 years removed from his knockout loss to Razor Ruddock, in one of the most senseless fights that was ever made.
Yeah. Ra Holcomb's come in, and he said, Andre, son of God Ward versus Adonis Superman Stevenson.
Actually, I thought Andre Ward should have taken that fight before he retired.
I think he'd have battered Stevenson. He was far too
I think so too. Yeah. Fight him, get that fourth belt, become undisputed, get out. It would have been perfect ending.
Yeah, SWS Boxing said he was supposed to interview Riddick Bowe, but he asked for cash. Yeah, same with me, mate. I emailed his management team, and he wanted $2.5 grand. Told him to go swing one, mate. Go swing yourself.
Yeah, I love the hell of Riddick Bowe as a boxer, but when it came to the business side, him and his manager Rock Newman and those around him are just plain garbage.
Here, Serhan. Mike Tyson versus Ike Ibuche. How do you pronounce it?
Remember this: Mike Tyson was on a suspension for the ear bite. By the time he came back, Ibuche was in jail for whatever he did to that teenager, and that was it.
It would have been a good fight though, because they were both bangers, weren't they?
Oh yes, actually at that point, I think Ibuche would have won because Tyson was done.
Definitely. Where was we? Right, Ra Holcomb. Bo had to sell all of his memorabilia because he's broke. That's because he done some bad stuff, didn't he?
Yeah, he wound up in prison for 18 months for something with his family back in 2004. He tried to come back a couple times, but it backfired.
Yeah, too old by then. Tony Allen versus Roberto Duran.
Tony Ayala Jr. Yeah. Let me get this one real quick. That's when it was discussed after Duran beat Davey Moore. That's when the rape allegations came up with Tony Ayala, and he had to do time.
Yeah. How long did he do? Do you know?
Oh, many years. I think about at least 15, I believe. I gotta look at. Wow. I gotta research this. Yeah. But the guy should have been.
Take your word for it, mate.
Yeah, the guy should have been in there for life, though, because it was more than just rape. There was a lot out of it. I won't get into it because it's graphic in nature.
Yeah, bless you, mate. Yeah, it's a family channel. We don't want to talk about that horrible stuff. People like that got no place to be talked about. I'm the scumbags. SWS Boxing, he asked for some amount of money. Yeah, he asked me for $2.5 grand, mate, when I tried to get him. But that's for another one. Ibuche was the greatest heavyweight who never was, says Ryan.
I agree. He's up there in that conversation.
I think I've missed the comment here. No, not that one. Not that one. Tyson Fury versus AJ will happen. Will it happen?
It makes all the sense to happen next year in the UK. It makes all the sense to happen. I know Fury's on the downside, but I think he's still good enough to make it a fight that would sell Wembley Stadium or O2 Arena over there in London.
Even if they both lose, mate, even if Fury loses the rematch to Usyk and AJ loses to Dubois, which I doubt very much will happen in that one, they could still make AJ Fury and it will still sell out 100,000 at Wembley.
Think about Kell Brook and Amir Khan, how long that took. They still managed to sell out the arena. But the thing is, Fury and Joshua are still more impactful to where I think they will do better business.
Exactly. Ra's got some more facts on Riddick Bowe. He said he found out his wife had cuckooed him. 3 of his kids weren't actually his.
Yeah, Riddick Bowe had a very terrible out-of-the-ring life, which was chronicled after the second Galata fight. And there's also, he was so wound up, he wound up trying to go into the U.S. Marines and was discharged in less than 3 days.
That's not a surprise. SWS Boxing has said, thoughts on Tony Yoka. He's boxing an 8-rounder in London versus Ami Bachota.
I like me some Yoka. I don't know much about the other, but I do like Yoka.
Yeah, I like him, but he's not what he was, is he? He's proven to not be as good as he thinks he is. Dean White show this week. Edis Mustafa Muhammad versus Matthew Saud Muhammad.
Both were elite light heavyweights at the time. I'd probably give the nod to Matthew Saud because he at one point was the undisputed light heavyweight champ. Actually, he beat John Conte twice. Very sound light heavyweight. The only thing against it was he fought Michael Spinks at a time when Spinks was the premier light heavyweight. I'd probably favor Matthew Saud.
Fair play. Thank you, Serhan. And Gabbett said, that's the Dean White show on, ain't it? And Sam saying, yes, it is. Right then, I think we've covered all of them now. Have you got any more, or is that all the ones you wanted to do, brother?
Last night, I debuted my show, Serhan on X. I talked about the whole fiasco with Canelo, Berlanga, and Benavidez. Here's the thing with all of this. I'm going to repeat this again for my international followers. I'm not a fan of this fight, but because there were no other options, this is what we're stuck with. Here's the biggest problem is the hypocrisy with the fans I have a problem with. Because Mike Tyson did this for years. I never heard a thing. Deontay Wilder did this for years. I never heard a thing. Fighters like Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather did this for years. I never heard a thing. I'm picking up a bunch of other names that did this, but when it comes to Canelo, it seemed like there's selective judgment and criteria toward him that while others I've seen over the years get a pass. Again, I'm not fond of this fight, but spare me the hypocrisy because you guys wanted to give guys like Mike Tyson a pass for doing this for decades while Canelo's doing this. When his mandatory David Benavidez blunt basically said, I'm going to 175 to fight the Bevo Better Be of winner. So if you're going to still try and accuse Canelo of ducking Benavidez, I think you guys need to take a hard look in the mirror, look at all the research out there, and realize who is the one doing the ducking. Yes, I agree with you. Yeah, I agree with you, Jam, and everyone else that this is not the greatest fight in the world. I think Canelo's going to swarm him. The only other option was Chris Eubank Jr., but it would have probably been just as bad. But because Eubank Jr. really doesn't even deserve a shot. As you know as well as I do. The only difference is Berlanga at least is undefeated and brings a little something to the table. And of course, there's the Mexican-Puerto Rican angle where that sells out. But spare me your hypocrisy for saying Canelo is not fighting the top fighters because there are other guys that did it, and you gave him every pass in the book. Tank Davis, another one as an example. Yeah, he's another one. He fights. The only credible guy out of his name really is Leo Santa Cruz, but he was a blown-up junior bantamweight, so miss me with that. Shakur Stevenson's done it in the last two fights to guys I never even heard of. But now we're talking about now you're going to try shame Canelo for fighting Berlanga. The guy's fighting who he wants. I mean, the guy's not going to sit on his butt, wait for David Benavidez to get his head out of his butt and make a decision. He's going to keep fighting. I mean, it's a common thing for Mexican fighters. I can point to a boatload of names going back to Salvador Sanchez and Julio Cesar Chavez who just kept active. You can't tell me that Canelo Alvarez is the one doing the ducking when he's just fighting the best of fighting what's out there. Because honestly, in those divisions, there isn't much available unless he wants to go up to fight the Bevo Better Be a winner. But spare me the hypocrisy because he's not the only one that's done it. I've seen others do it over the years. Just stop.
Throughout boxing history.
It is.
And
because
what people are forgetting as well is that Edgar Berlanga Jr. is 22-0-0 with 17 knockouts. It's not like it's some journeyman bum who's got 10 defeats, 15 defeats. He's fighting an undefeated world-class fighter. Yes,
I said I prefer this over the other option, which was Eubank Jr., who had no business being mentioned in the same breath as Canelo Alvarez. Exactly. We talked about the Triple G fiasco years back.
Exactly. Mr. Styles has said Fury v Joshua will happen, but not for any titles on the line. That will be purely for bragging rights. Yeah, completely agree with you, brother.
But if Anthony Joshua
is a legend, big fan, says SWS.
Yes.
Canelo's resume is something else, 100%. He's only ever lost to Bivol and Mayweather, two of the absolute goats. Canelo is fighting Berlanga. Yes, he is, mate. Canelo will beat Berlanga easy. I don't think it'll be easy, but he'll dominate. Canelo fights everyone.
I don't hear about that. As he said, he fights whoever's available to him. He's not just going to sit and wait around for the big payday and just sit on his butt all the dang time.
Exactly.
Spare me the hypocrisy when it comes to this.
Yeah, right. We've only got 1 minute left, Serhan. So what I'm going to do is quickly run through this weekend's fights. Just tell me who you think's going to win in quick answers, yeah? So we've got Clarissa Shields against Joanisa at heavyweight in the females.
What?
Yeah, 100%. Joe Joyce, Derek Chisora.
I got Joyce. Don't write off Chisora. Chisora's, I think, was his last chance at something. This is a good crossroads fight. I think whoever loses is going to probably be done, but give me Joyce.
Yeah, I'm going Joyce as well. To be honest, I'm switching up and up. You know what I mean? I was Joyce, then I was Chisora, but I'm going to stick with Joyce now. SBS Boxing says Benavidez is a duck. Another fight that should have happened was Canelo Mayweather 2. Yeah, Mayweather would probably school him again, though. That's the problem. People forget that Canelo won a world title at light heavy. Yes, he did. He beat Sergei Kovalev. Del Boy wins, says SWS Boxing. Shields, Joyce, and Raven Chapman, says Styles. And Del wins, says SWS. Right, so the next fight. Moses Atoma versus Marius Wack.
I got Moises.
Yeah, Moses Atoma's going to smash the pieces, mate, off him, honestly. Dennis McCann against Ionet Venuta.
Dennis.
Yeah, Dennis the Menace all day long for that one. We've got Royston Barney Smith against Brian Barajas. Royston Barney Smith's a prospect
Yeah,
over here.
I like Smith. I'll trying to process the other name as you skipped on me for a second, but yeah, I got Bryce Smith. I like him a lot.
Brian Barajas.
I just said,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's going to be a win for
Credible
sure.
opponent, dog. Say that, credible opponent.
Yeah, definitely. Ryan Garner against Archie Sharp. That's the
Gardner.
last one.
That Gardner.
Yeah, the Piranha Garner, definitely. He's a fantastic fighter. And that's all the fights for the weekend. Let's just get through these last comments. Where are we? Håkan Johansson, Otto Wallin versus Honorode Eswame is tomorrow on the zone. I'll be watching that, later. Otto Wallin win, says SWS. I'm edging towards Joyce points for me. Love Waters aura. It pains him. SWS Moses in 3. I'm going Moses in 2, mate, myself. I get ya. Dennis McCann on points. Royston Barney Smith KO round 2 to 3, says SWS. And Sharp, he thinks Artie Sharp's going to pull that one off against Ryan the Piranha Garner. Fair play to you. Well, on that note, that's been episode 6 of Boxing Media Hub's Boxing Hour. Sorry, episode 7. Bloody hell, I've lost a week. But, thank you so much as always, Serhan, and I'll see you next week. And to everyone in the comments, make sure you like, share and subscribe. Please join us for next week's show. On that note, big love to everyone. God bless. We'll see you soon.